as you see, Tuesday, we watched Hoosiers and Field of Dreams hold court. The number 1 and number 2 seed will face off against each other in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, they will be up against each other. We threw a little Jim Henson in the bottom right corner there.
Yeah,
also,
Animal is my favorite.
That looks an awful lot like our friend Scott Christian, which I think Rob Otta will be like, yeah, that looks exactly like Scott Christian. So it's very, very near and dear to us.
I do love Animal.
And then next week, we're going to do the North Division semifinals with Caddyshack against Major League, Happy Gilmore taking on the Longest Yard, and we'll finish up Thursday, Karate Kid against Bull Durham, Dodgeball against the League of Their Own to set us up for our final 8, and we will be story smacking all 8 movies. It will be great. Let's take a look at today's matchups. Look what we got. Rocky, we got Bloodsport.
This is crazy. So now a couple of other people, now that I finally understand brackets better than I did, finally on YouTube, Genelia, thanks for the update. We goosed it and it worked. This is one we've seen now a handful of folks who are saying like, oh, this selection, this is rough that these ended up together. And I don't disagree, at least for the Rocky Bloodsport bracket. I agree that that's a pretty... difficult.
It's tough. Everything from here on out will be very tough. And then we've got Space Jam Any Given Sunday, which I feel I know how this one's going to go. I feel pretty strongly about it.
Fair.
It's a football-based audience because a lot of people here. Rob Otto says Christian has a bigger mouth and a crazier look in his eyes,
and probably a little less orange facial hair.
We have seen this look on Christian's face many times in our youth, and every time this happened, it was not good. It was not good. Like somebody's going to jail. That's all we knew. Somebody's going to jail this week. All right, and then we got Space Jam against Any Given Sunday. Let's take a look at our leaderboard, ladies and gentlemen. The winner of this is going to win $50 at scottsigler.com/store. Second place, $35. Third place, $25. Still in first place with an absolutely perfect, flawless bracket. It is game of mouth. Then a 3-way tie. That was hard. Busey's best picks and Drew's best guess, and then a whole passel of people moving it. It's still absolutely anybody's game. And of course, as I've said many times, Danny the Dolphin lurking, tied at number 4. Where am I in this thing now? I think I'm doing pretty bad. There I am. I'm at 22nd.
I mean, I'm sure you're not doing as bad as me.
No, well, you're all the way down.
It might be. I'm gunning for. I see. I'm so close to last place.
Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Look, if you can't be the best, maybe you could be the worst.
Hey, if you're second place, you're the first loser. Or God, what is the phrase? I can't remember. If you're not first, you're last.
I'm
something
second
like that.
winner.
All right, back to the bracket. Let's take a look at our matchups. Oh, there we go. Matchup number 1.
All right.
Here we go. It's time for some spur of the moment improv and ring introduction. Let's have at it. In the left corner, a furry convention that's gone horribly wrong when somebody introduced giant swollen orange balls. It is a basketball game played in space by some humans and other creatures that are not actually real at all. It is Bugs Bunny. It is Michael Jordan in Space Jam. Get ready to jam. And they don't get very much of a ring walk up. Because on the other side,
in the other corner,
the number 2 seed, hailing from Los Angeles, California. I don't remember what town they actually played in, but we're going to call it L.A. It is the star-studded cast of Dennis Quaid, Jamie Foxx, LL Cool J James from Cameron Diaz, Al Pacino. Half of them have blue faces, half of them have red faces, possibly with jaundice, and then there's the guy in the middle who's finally taking a pee after holding it all the way through the 4th quarter. It is Any Given Sunday.
So what's interesting is I think probably not LA because they were the Sharks.
I don't know.
But Shark Stadium was where the Orange Bowl is played.
Okay.
Or Orange Bowl Stadium. So that's an interesting fact you might not know.
I might
My
not
favorite,
know that.
which is really a thing everybody would know.
Okay.
Is Al Pacino is one of the stars of this movie, and
Rob says Miami Sharks. Come on, he's disappointed in us.
Robert De Niro was also either up for or offered the role and turned it down before Al Pacino took it. And I feel like this is a fact that pretty much everybody could guess about those two.
That
I mean, if it's gonna be a movie that requires a guy like that, if it's not gonna be Al Pacino, Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro. Yeah. Well, they're kind of the same guy.
Well, they're not, but they're very like you can understand. Did a spider get on your microphone? What happened?
I don't know what's happening.
Here, this is happening. It's right here.
Oh, okay.
It's a beard whisker thing.
A beard whisker stuck in the microphone. All right. A lot of people saying they've never seen Space Jam, and I have to admit I've never seen Space Jam either.
Me neither.
I have not seen that movie.
I've seen a whole bunch of clips, and I kind of know the story, but I haven't seen Space Jam.
Do you have any interesting information about Space Jam?
A ton of interesting slam dunk facts about Space Jam. Yes, I do.
I like what you did there. Slam dunk facts. Very nice.
Yeah. This was one of the first sports movies of its kind to sort of be a combination of live action, and of course this one has animation, so it's crazy. Casting the role of Michael Jordan's publicist, Michael J. Fox, Chevy Chase, Jason Alexander, all passed on the role. Oh, really? Okay. Eventually,
who got
Jason
it?
Alexander recommended Wayne Knight, his colleague from Seinfeld, got the job.
Well, that's really cool. How very nice of him.
In between takes on the set,
yeah.
Michael Jordan organized pickup games.
Of
Could
course
you
he did.
friggin' imagine being like I got to roll as an extra. Yay.
Oh, I would talk so much shit.
And then you end up in a pickup game with Michael Jordan. It'd be so great. I don't even know how to play basketball, and I'd do that.
You know how that game's going to turn out. So the first thing I do, I'm going to get on that court, is I'm going to talk so much smack to Jordan. I'm basically talking to his belly button. But
you probably are.
Everybody who's played the sports with me knows there's going to be, whether I win or lose, I'm walking off that field of battle, and I will have the swagger that I won in a complete shutout, regardless of the outcome.
Right. So here's the thing. One thing that's interesting about this matchup is for any given Sunday, the NFL actively discouraged active players from taking a role in the movie. They couldn't. They couldn't tell them they couldn't do it.
Because of all the drugs and sex and all that stuff?
I don't know why, but they didn't participate. They didn't help the movie in any way. So they could not, because it was off season, they couldn't say, you guys can't do this. That's not part of the contract in the union and all that stuff. That said, for Space Jam, the NBA was like, oh, okay, yeah, come on, everybody. Let's just do it. Everybody just get all the talent you want. There's Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, Sean Bradley. There's dozens of NBA players in Space Jam.
Well, that's a great. I love it. That's a really interesting tidbit, considering these are two movies for professional sports, and the two leagues approached it in completely different fashion.
Totally really different fashion, and I love it because, like, when I was a kid, I was not a big sport. I couldn't play a lot of sports, so I wasn't really into sports either. I did. My stepdad likes basketball a whole lot, and loved Scottie Pippen, and so Scottie Pippen turns out to be in Space Jam. So here I am 30 years later, and I'm looking up fun, interesting facts, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll watch Scottie Pippen. I know who that is.
We will not watch Scottie Pippen.
I know, we're not going to watch Space Jam.
There's no watching Scottie Pippen in this house. No watching.
What about Spud Webb?
Well, yeah, but Spud Webb wasn't a Bull playing against the Pistons back in the day. Okay, so that's okay.
But we could watch Spud Webb?
Yeah, we can watch. We can watch Spud Webb. Actually, somebody asked this week how my dog got her name of Mookie, and the person asking that had never heard of the basketball player Mookie Blaylock, which is how my beloved dog Mookie got her name, because Mookie Blaylock was 6 feet tall, which sounds like, that's a pretty normal tall size guy, but on basketball court, he and Spud Webb were very, very tiny. All right, next, let's get to the next ring walk up. Here we go, matchups. Oh my gosh, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. If there's going to be an upset. Maria, why do I hate Bugs Bunny? Because he has those ears, and I'm frightened of the ears. I just don't like them. I don't like them.
Shannon,
also,
my whole job is Googling. Come on now.
If you look at the number of Bugs Bunny shows where he is directly responsible for the death of another creature, he's a psychopath. Bugs Bunny is an absolute psychopath.
Is he directly responsible for death?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter.
I see how this show is going.
And you will know him by the trail of dead.
You know what I love about this graphic that's up right now?
Yep. What?
What on earth is that poster for Rocky? The fuck?
Well, it's
literally should be the Bloodsport one. Like, it should be that.
Because they're trying to show that he's not just a creature of violence. He's got a soft middle part, much like a Twinkie.
But I'm totally with you. That is exactly what they're doing. They're saying the way Rocky finds his place in the ring is by finding the ring's place in his life, right? Like finding the right. I get all that. Here's the thing. That's not the story we remember. That's not the thing that we think of Rocky today. We think of Rocky as this come from behind, hero's quest, fight movie, like all this stuff. And I love that. They weren't wrong. Of course it's about his love of Adrian.
Sure.
But it's fascinating that, like, of all the iconic things we could have had the moment that became a flippin' statue. Mm-hmm. But we have that. And I kind of love that. I mean, and he is, like, also in his boxing gloves, so that's a little crazy. Like, obviously that's a symbolism, but it's still kind of fun.
So what we're going to do now is do a ring walk up, and I'm going to incorporate some of the things that you just mentioned to me. Here we go. In the right corner, coasting into the match on a gratuitous donation from the country of Belgium, he has the Frank Dukes pants, he has the Frank Dukes haircut, and he has actually put up his Dukes. It is Jean-Claude Van Damme. It is the amazing movie Bloodsport. And his opponent on the left side of the screen in the white corner, who has just finished up fighting after 3 months of being in a training camp and not having any sex at all because sex screws up your fight game. He just got done with a match, and he and Adrian are going off to get some boxing of another kind done. It is Rocky. That's why they're walking away, because he hasn't had any for like 3 months during fight training camp.
Does that include a self-love?
I don't know what Mick's response. Mick says, "Cut me, Mick." I'm not going there. There's nothing I can say.
That's fair. I don't want to get there either. But I do believe that Trevor Haney wins comment of the day.
What did he say?
He said Bugs Bunny's not a psychopath. He's a sociopath.
All right.
Which is probably true. He's more about himself than he is about the society at large.
He is very much about himself. Hey, do you have any information on these movies for the lovely people? Hello, Jan. Welcome. Kumite. Yeah, I love this. I love Bloodsport. It's such a great flick.
So I love this about Rocky.
Okay.
Susan Sarandon was one of the actresses considered for Adrian, but the role eventually went to Talia Shire, who was perfect and gorgeous. But Susan Sarandon was considered too sexy. Like, that was supposed to be a much more demure woman, and
that fits. Like, if they cast Rocky today with Stallone, somebody of his caliber, of course they're going to find. They're going to find like an incredibly gorgeous A-list actress for it. But that wasn't the point of the movie. They were just a bunch of street schlubs.
But I also think, like, Talia Shire is gorgeous, and she's obviously super important. The Adrian is super important to Rocky and super gorgeous to Rocky, and you can see all of that, right?
Yep.
What I love is the sexiness of it is the thing that Susan Sarandon lost the part, or wasn't no longer. I don't think she ever read or whatever, but she was no longer considered because Adrian had to be a little bit mousy, and they were like, I don't think Susan Sarandon's going to do that, which I love. You also have mentioned this, excuse me. And the last time that Rocky was in the show, the studios wanted to buy it and make Burt Reynolds Rocky. And Sylvester Stallone, as you mentioned before, was
crazy.
like, that would be great, but I'm not selling that movie. I'm not selling the script unless I am Rocky. Wow. And eventually somebody listened. And of course, that's the way it should have turned out, because it's a huge, huge, huge part of our culture, our, American movie making culture. But
Howard didn't tell with a great comment. You asked if he was able to do self-love, and Howard said Rocky had to, quote, shadowbox, end quote, for 2 weeks before his fights. All right, let's get into the results. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Here we go. Oh, my God. Becky, look at his sprawled out form on this. The results are in. A stoppage at 1 minute, 2 seconds of the 5th round. A strong contest that finally ends with the winner. Moving on to the finals of the East Division by a score of 34-16. Any given Sunday. No surprise there. I don't think it's even closer than I thought it was going to be.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought Space Jam would get in there a little bit, but Any Given Sunday, let's see who Any Given Sunday is going to take on. Let's take a look at this. Here we go. The final results.
Ellen, I have no idea if it was after Rocky Horror Picture Show, but that's a great question.
Yeah, she was fairly hot in Rocky Horror Picture Show. And in the left side of the bracket, the fisticuffs, the pugilists, the flying feet, and the nut punches, both above and below the belt, by a score of 41-11, a shockingly lopsided match. Moving on to the finals in East Division, it is Sylvester Stallone, Antonia Shire, and Rocky. 44-11.
Now, in one way, this is not surprising. If you're talking about Rocky versus Bloodsport in sort of the lexicon of movies in, sports movies in general, right? I'm not surprised by that. Rocky has much more cultural longevity. Longevity is the word.
Longevity. Okay, keep vamping, baby.
It's definitely you who had too many drinks last night, not me, and I forgot the word longevity just now.
What has happened to me that literally 2 drinks is too many drinks?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is like that's quite an alcoholic drink for what it is. Like, there's not a lot of filler in that drink. 2, you exercise 4 miles plus all the dog walks, and 3, you didn't have any dinner. That's what I think.
That's right. Okay,
but it's an interesting thing because I think Rocky in that matchup without any other information is a well-deserved win, right? It's much more culturally important than Bloodsport overall.
Overall,
for
sure.
Right.
For sure.
That said, you can't really look at it that way because Bloodsport has had a lot of tenacity in the marketplace, has had a lot of significance in the marketplace, and it matters to people who love sports, even if they don't love that sport. It's a good, making the most of yourself, working as hard as you can.
They're both
kind
very
of
good
movie.
movies, but you're right. Rocky is on a different level than Bloodsport. Let's take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Next week, we're going to see who's going to move on to the Final Four, and that is going to be the Hoosiers versus Field of Dreams.
We're not going to do the East and West next.
No, I'm sorry. In a couple of weeks. But when we come back around this way to the East Division, we're going to get to see West and East Division. We're going to get to see who wins. Hoosiers Field of Dreams, a 1-2 matchup. Rocky even get any given Sunday, another 1-2 matchup. I would like to point out, ladies and gentlemen, that the selection committee caught a lot of crap.
Yeah.
A lot of crap for their picks. And if you will look at both the East and West Division, the 1-2 seeds in both of them have moved on. So very good. It's very accurate. They don't
even speak English, so I'm not really sure.
They don't need to. They speak the international language of the sports. Let's take a look at the leaderboard, you guys. Let's see how this changed. Here we go.
Dum dum dum.
Remember, Game of Mao, first place. That was hard. Busey's best
Sean.
picks, Drew's best guess, all tied for second. And now we refresh the board. What happens? Oh gosh, drama. Here we go. Oh, Game of Mao dropped out. What happened?
Game of Mao dropped to third. Damn.
Did Game of Mao missed one? Yeah, he was saying Tuesday.
He said. Yeah, he said it today too.
That was hard. Oh yeah. And Busey's best picks move into first. Game of Mao finally got one wrong. I don't think. Can we check that? Let's go and take a look real quick. This is very dramatic. It's very dramatic. Where did they screw up? Oh, here it is right there. What's that one, baby? I can't see it.
Space Jam.
So he picked Space Jam over Any Given Sunday, and that cost him everything. But Game of Mao is still obviously right in the running.
Am I last place yet?
Oh, let's take a look.
Hey, Jen Lundy. Nice to see you out there.
And I believe I moved up to 16th, but I did pick Rocky. Okay, good. Creed, Happy Gilmore. All right, moving on down, baby. And then we're kind of
last place. I'm going for it. Come on. I did it, you guys. I did it.
Are you in last place?
I am in last place. Yeah. Ready? Shannon, get ready. I'm wearing pants.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to get on to the rest of that tournament next week, but we did finish up very early today, so I think what we're going to do, baby girl, is just we're going to go to questions. I think there's not a lot left.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, please ask them in the chat room. I have a whole bunch of questions.
Questions. We've got questions. We can draw a question mark.
I will give you while I'm looking up
because it had too much goddamn coffee. It's a triple espresso question mark, and holy crap, it's shaking. We got questions. Oh, we've got questions. Questions for you, from you.
I will say, I'll give you a short update. I am currently still talking to new printers. I do not have a plan yet, but I'm talking to 3 printers who hopefully will be able to print our GFL book ASAP. We are in the process. We're already done with copy edit. We can move on once we find a printer to in-book design and all of that stuff. But you have to go through a few more comments just to make sure.
Go through the final copy.
But hopefully by the time that's done, which will just be a short amount of time, I can find a new printer.
Good.
And go with that.
What Steve Rickenberg says. Question: Will the Detroit Lions ever fail to disappoint? And the answer is no. They will always deliver on disappointment. Always deliver on disappointment.
So there were so many screamings this past week for football, and my team is terrible. And it wasn't me screaming.
It was crazy. Well, what happened this week was not as crazy as what happened in week 1 against the Bears, but it was just appalling. Let's move on to something else. Let's go. Let's get off the Lions.
So Angela Brandt asked, when you start a new book in a series, do you go back and read the previous books to refresh your memory? Do you have a system set up to remember which character is doing what?
Especially with a series like the GFL, we don't have the bandwidth to go back and read 5 novels and 6 novellas. So I have all of the books on my computer under Apple Books, so I'm able to go in and just search for things and find things. We also have the wiki, and we can look things up there. So I will go through and listen to a couple of chapters, here and there, to try and get back in the swing of things. But the GFL in particular, mostly, I've got most of that up in the head, except when I have players who died come back the next book. But John Viscar is very helpful in that. A is very helpful in that. And then when it comes time to do the audiobooks, the prep work that goes into the audiobooks is a little bit insane, because I will cut character parts out from as many characters as I can find. I will put all of those on once upon a time on the iPod, now on the iPhone, and go through and just listen to those on repeat to try and be able to very quickly dial in the over 100 voices we've got in that book. And I do all the voices. So we've got the faster I can remember what a voice is, the faster we get through the audiobook. And even when I forget, if A's got the reference file at her fingertips, we're like, okay, here's that character, and hit play. That provides us a character continuity across all the books. That's the biggest amount of prep work that goes into these books, I think. Because as I'm writing book 5, I've already got notes for books 6, 7, and 8, and I'm tracking when something happens in 5 or in the Champion that I know will impact, the book 6, 7, or 8. I create a chapter in those books with notes that say I have to come back and do this. It doesn't work great. I mean, it's not 100% accurate. It works pretty good.
It's also such a big universe. It's
Huge.
A difficult thing to do well. Emily, absolutely, please. I appreciate the email that you sent me, the personal email that you sent me this past couple of days. I would love info about, I think you said you work for Books A Million, but yeah, if you have any contact about the printing, it has to be offset printing though, and I'm not sure that, just in case. It's not a print on demand. It has to be offset.
Todd Cunningham says, I'm a Broncos fan, Scott, so I'm on the same place. No, you're not. I'm sorry. I know you'd like to wave to me, but can you pick up your arm with all the Super Bowl rings that weigh down your hand? Come on, dude. You're not even remotely in the same place. You're having a very bad season. I will give you that. But you are not anywhere near. So, I can't. Todd Cunningham says, question, how proud of a dad should I be? Let's get this up. How proud of a dad should I be that my daughter is reading Earth Core? You should be exceptionally proud. If she got into Yale on a full ride, you should be almost as proud of that as you are that she's reading Earth Core.
Why do you have the comments up?
Oops. Yeah. Sorry. There we go. There's the chat. Okay. There's the chat. You should be extraordinarily proud that anyone in your family is reading my books. And if you read my books for the first time, read them again, you should be proud of yourself. How could you do better in life than to read my work? I don't know.
So Clovar asks, have either one of us listened to the graphic audio adaptations of either the GFL, Earthcore, or the Generations trilogy? And I will say I've listened to all of them. You didn't ask anything else, so the answer is just yes. But I will tell you, for me, having listened to both of them, that I find them both compelling and different. I love the author's interpretation, but I also appreciate the sort of staged radio play kind of quality of the graphic audio. I find them delightful and different. They're definitely different. But there's a ton of people who will say, like, I don't want to hear it if it's not the FDO. which I appreciate, but I also can tell you from this side of the fence, there's literally like 20 times as many people who are grateful that they found the FDO, they found his storytelling because they were able to listen to graphic audio. So I will take new friends and listeners any way that we can get them.
I will say we have a great question from Beth Copenhaver, who asked, question, just watched Friday Night Lights movie, and a parent came out on the field to yell at his kid. How would Coach Sigler have handled that? Coach Sigler, of course, being my dad, who put in decades as a high school football coach, and won 2 state championships in Michigan, and I was lucky enough to have played football for him. My brother was as well. He ran a very tight ship, and if a parent comes onto the field, the refs immediately blow the play dead and throw flags, and the home team is whichever team the parent comes from is penalized, and then security comes out, usually a police officer, and escorts that person off the field right away. So I haven't seen that. I don't remember that scene in Friday Night Lights, but I mean, a parent coming out and yelling at a player on the field does not usually happen in American football, American high school football. How my dad would have handled it would have been just get the cops and get that person off the field because they're getting in the way of the game. He could give a damn about anybody's emotions during the game. Like everybody's been preparing for months for this particular moment, and he's going to make sure the kids have the best opportunity to enjoy it for all that it's worth. I'll tell you one. When we were in Washington, Cedar-Woolley, Washington, I was still a little kid, and his first year coaching at Cedar-Woolley, who did not have a winning tradition, and I think they went 4-5 that year, and the next year they were 7-2 in the playoffs. He's on the sidelines, and some parent comes up and comes over the fence and is on the sidelines, not on the field, on the sidelines, and comes up and starts yelling at my dad because he's not playing his kid or whatever. And my dad looks at him, and clearly my dad's working as hard as he can to control himself. So my dad says, get this guy out of here, and just turns around and goes back to the field. Now, Cedar-Woolley, Washington was a very, very rural logging town at the time, and a lot of kids who were very rough and tumble kids. What my dad meant was, hey, assistant coaches, please escort this person off the field. That's not what happened. He said, get this guy out of here. And like 5 football players gang tackled him and just drove him off the sidelines. And it was a very hard hit, and no one ever came onto the field ever again.
Rob Otto asks, how annoying is it when you are writing and a character won't freaking do what you want them to do? It's a classic and great question because it changes all the time. Rob
Otto, who has a hero system book coming out in the very near future. That is a classic question, and that is when you know you're doing something right, in my opinion. If you've written a book or you're writing a book and you've got a plan, at the very least, or a big outline, and things have to go in a certain order, and then you get to say 60% of the way through in that outline, and then you want your character to go into the haunted house by herself because she's a rebel, and then at that point you're like, no, she would not do that. There's no way she's going to go off by herself. If you are true to the character and then that breaks your outline and screws things up, that means you are doing something right, because the character is taking on a life of their own and helping the author guide the character to where the character should be going. Is that fun? No, it sucks. It's awful, because like I've put weeks and weeks, if not months of time into the outline, into the character development, into getting to this point. And then you find out that all the work you've done from when she's supposed to die in the haunted house moving forward is out the window, and you have to go back and you have to re-outline and re-outline, and it's an iterative process. Make it 60% of the way through, re-outline. Make it 70, make it 80, etc. So I don't enjoy it, but I'm learning to take the positive, I guess. So when that happens, we know we're doing something right.
So I'm going to take a few questions. Vance Howe on Facebook asks, do we have any plans for Scott to work on the crypt or any of the characters creating from that storyline? And the answer is absolutely yes. The crypt is after the deadlines that we have. And I know on Tuesday we talked about a 5-year plan that's got finished Tuesday or over the weekend. But during those 5 years, he also started a handful of other threads. So we do have a handful of other things to finish before he moves forward. But the next new thing he's writing, meaning Stone Wolves is done, the GFL novella, GFL 6, The Gangster, is done. Fitzroy is out. All of that stuff is done. What he'll work on right after that is the crypt for sure.
Yep.
And it is too early to say who will live and who will die and how that will come out in real life in its next iteration. But I will tell you that that's the next thing that he'll work on. Likewise, there was another similar question.
While you looked that up, Tina Gonzalez asked if there's any continuation of the hippo stories, and probably not, because I don't control that property. That is a Jonathan Mayberry V-Wars property. So if Mr. Mayberry ever comes back and wants another hippo story, I'd be happy to give him. I love that character.
Yeah, I would say it's unlikely, but it's not for lack of interest on Scott's part either. He loves that character.
Throg Og asked, does anyone in the crypt live? And the answer is, I can't say.
Yeah, I can't say, and you might not know even at this point.
I will tell you, it's not pretty. It's not.
Emily
pretty.
McGregor is asking if we do Halloween decor and how awesome is it? And here's the thing, I have to be honest, we don't really. Scott, we do Christmas. I am very, very minimalist. We also live in a tiny place that now has 2.5 more times the stuff squashed into it. So I'm actively trying to not add a single non-consumable thing to this tiny house. It's less than 1,000 square feet, and we have literally 3,900 square feet worth of stuff in it. And it's hard. It's hard. I can't make breakfast unless I take 17 pots out to get to the pan I need, kind of thing. So no, we don't. I will say Christmas we do, and you'll see that we put up a Christmas tree. The dogs have stockings, things like that, because Christmas is a thing, just like Halloween for many, many people. My great good dear friend / sister Shannon is a huge Halloween fan, and I love that. But I just don't have the room for it. There's no way. I literally would have to rent a storage space to put my Halloween decor in and all my other decor in, so I don't do it. That said, I will say this. I sent my mother, I sent her like a plastic goose like 20 years ago that's supposed to sit on your front porch that wears different outfits for different holidays. And I do spend a lot of ridiculous time and money looking for outfits for that dang goose. I won't lie. But that's the closest I get. And Amy Reed says a good thing. She says we do go orange and black all year long.
All year long. Do we got
That is
any
true.
canned questions? You want to grab another from here, babe?
If there is one there, go ahead and do that. But I have tons and tons and tons and tons.
Yeah, call one
Kim
up.
Hansen asked a great question.
Okay.
What are our favorite foods?
Oh my God, it depends. I won't lie. For the most part, my favorite food of the day is whatever A has cooked that day, because A is a phenomenal cook. Just phenomenal cook. The fact that I have lost 20 plus pounds in the last year and a half is an example of the iron will that I have, because every meal is a banquet, every formation's a parade.
I did learn that
I love this marriage.
That we absolutely need to plate food, because if there's if I put the bowl on the table, that's a bad thing. But if I plate it, then we get, you get to enjoy it a lot and wish for more, and then magically tomorrow more appears.
So we cannot do family style here, because of all the years I spent cutting weight for wrestling. I'm like, if those beans are delicious, and there's a bowl of those beans, I'm gonna eat that whole bowl. So A is often stunned, like, but you're complaining that you're full. Why are you still eating? Like, because it's real good.
And he's like, I may never get it again. And I'm like, if you just put it in Tupperware, you can have it tomorrow. You could have it tomorrow. I know you'll get it again.
Unless we get hit by a meteor. And then I go to the grave knowing that I left a good half pound of beans, sitting in the fridge. That's terrible.
Clovar, you say hot dogs, and I will say we don't eat mammals anymore, but we do enjoy a turkey we eat chicken dogs and turkey sausage and kielbasa. Because I feel like that's a little the texture is a little bit better.
All right, hit me with one of the questions that people have mailed in, babe.
Okay.
Questions.
Tina Gonzalez, who's in the chat room tonight, asked early a little while ago how we grocery shop. And it's interesting because we're headed into the fall, right? So we've learned a handful of things. So it used to be at the first, I went out once a week, well, probably once every other week. And now I go out once a week. I do shipping. I pick up whatever groceries we need. I run whatever errands we need. I do it right now in the beginning of in the lockdown. I used a respirator that I had left over from painting, because that was the mask I had. Now I wear glasses. I don't wear them on the cast because they reflect the light from the ring light, so I don't do that. But normally I wear glasses, so I go out in glasses and a hat and and a face mask, and
That's how we do.
with a targeted list. And this spot where we live, I've lived for about 20 years, and so I know the layout really well, and I get in and get out as fast as I can.
Home court advantage, babe.
And here's the big thing. I'll wait 20 minutes. If 20 people come and get, don't wait in line so that they're not 6 feet apart so that they can paw all the vegetables, that's fine. Y'all all do your thing. Everybody wins. That's how I feel like everybody can go first. Everybody can have the right of first refusal. Everybody can go ahead and grab their stuff, and I'll grab what's left because I'm in it to win it. I want to get through to 2025, So I'll do it that way. So that's our big thing. I go out 3 times a day to walk the dogs. Scott and I always take the last walk of the night together if we can, so that all 4 of us, the 2 dogs and the 2 of us, are together. And then otherwise, we're pretty much close to home. We had our first outing in 6 months.
We went and picked apples, and it was
with
it
a
was
handful of
super
good.
fun.
Two of those friends are in the chat room tonight.
Now, don't get me wrong. If, say, back in February, A had said, "Hey, baby, we're gonna go pick apples with my friends," I'd have been like, "Sounds great," and like put on a fake smile, because that is not my jam. After many, many, many moons of not going out, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to get out and pick them goddamn apples."
And it was really
a blast.
fun.
It was super fun.
It was super fun. We got to hang out with friends who we like, and we all showed up independently in different cars. You had to wear masks. There were people there, but there weren't so many people that you had trouble picking apples. There were plenty of apples. We did get a handful of comments like, "Oh, if you're outside, why are you wearing masks?" But there were,
because we give a shit about other people.
Yeah, and they were 4 feet from us or 5 feet from us, and
yep.
Why not?
I got a question there, I think, from Shannon, who asked, "Oh, what are we listening to currently?" I am listening to little Brandon Sanderson, who is an incredibly nice guy.
If it's Shannon, I wonder if she's asking about music. Because she share music.
Well, I'll finish this question anyways. And then also, at the same time, I am listening to, I can't hit it, but it's Joe Abercrombie, his new book, The Trouble with Peace. I am a huge Joe Abercrombie fan. I think he's fantastic. Musically, what am I listening to?
Well, think about it for a sec, because
Okay.
Clovar just said, okay, I might be drunk, but I just realized that A's wearing a black shirt and has red hair, and Scott's is wearing a black shirt and has red hair, orange, and black. Which turns out to be true. Now that you're growing your beard back.
Growing that beard back. Gonna dye that sumbitch, too. It's gonna look real sharp, man. We don't give a shoot. Here we go. I got a couple bands that are interesting.
For sure there's Bandmade, right?
Bandmade, I'm still on A-list rotation with Bandmade. Hold on, guys. This is very good. Recently played. Another Japanese band that I just discovered is called Nemophilia. Nemophilia.
Nemophilia?
Is it Nemophilia? There's not enough letters,
There's not enough letters.
There's not enough
You're
letters in it. Let's go back to here, and then I can go to, maybe I can see it this way. This band, oh my God, they just rip. They rip. We can't play it. Thank you, Scott Pond. It is a sexy beard. I appreciate that, sir. So this is a band that I've been listening to quite a lot.
Tina, you're welcome.
And
I love you guys.
Here's kind of the recently played. We just had a nice, we put up some shelves, listened to a bunch of Prince, who was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mary's Blood, another Japanese metal band. Bad Wolves has got some good stuff. So this is stuff I'm listening to right now. It's quite a, and of course Adele, because always Adele. Screw you if you don't like Adele. I can't help you. Let's go back to main
I
camera.
do love this question. James Duval asked a while back, are there any characters that you wish weren't dead equals dead?
Oh, yeah. The biggest one, I learned a huge lesson with the Infected trilogy, is as much as people complain in fiction and shows like, I mean, come on, you know that guy's going to live. He's not really in danger. And I sort of took that too much to heart, I think. And then of course, I kill off main franchise characters. And that has a very powerful return, because if the reader knows that everyone is on the chopping block, when a character is on that chopping block, the reader is absolutely riveted. Stephen King does this very well. George R. Martin does this very well. And both of those are authors that don't just kill a character and then bring them back, so there's not any real drama at all. It's just all fake drama, I guess you'd call it. But killing a main character is huge. The number of people who were upset about Perry Dawsey dying was significant. So as a creator, you put all this time into creating this living, breathing person that actually lives in someone's head. You've taken nothing, made it something, and made someone care deeply about it, and then you kill them. it can impact sales.
For sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
keeping Perry around could have been a big deal.
Well, and I remember also when you were writing Pandemic, and this is a spoiler if you haven't read Pandemic. Pandemic has a recurrence of one of the main characters of Contagious in a way that doesn't violate the dead equals dead posit. And we talked about that for a while. You were like, there had been a different beeline story there that his editor was like, oh, it's kind of too much to keep track of. It's too much. It's too much that doesn't feed the story ultimately all the way down the road. And then he came up with, well, maybe these characters can have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And he figured out a way to do that where somebody from main character from Contagious can talk to somebody who survived into Pandemic and have that be a real works with the dead equals dead thing. So I find that really interesting because you even struggled with that at the moment until you were sure that wasn't going to be a cop out.
But it turned out okay. And Tracy Shank brings up Mitchell the Machine Fad from the GFL series. But that was it was a fun character. I liked him a lot, but that was a very important moment in the story because although Quentin Barnes has been around football all his life and he's aware it's violent, he's aware as people get hurt and killed, especially at the higher levels where the mass and force really start to increase. That's still a moment where it comes after he started to stop being such an asshole and started to appreciate his teammates and accept all comers. And then one of the people who's helped him get to that level is just like that, gone just like that. It really sets the stage in the GFL. So when you read a football game in the GFL, every play, somebody could buy the farm. Every play. Mm-hmm. So,
so Nick, I see you out there. It's nice to see you out there, number one. And number two, of course, you have friends you don't really like sometimes too. But you're right. That's a good point. I said we went out with friends I like or we like. And but we went out with people I would love to spend more time with and spent a lot of time kind of close to them. But not actually with them. We also bought way too many apple things.
Oh, they're delicious.
We have like 30 pounds of apples.
What's the place we got the pie from?
Julian Pie Company. Oh, so there's and it's
Julian
very
Pie
good.
Company apple pie.
Yeah.
This girl makes a great apple pie. The Julian Apple Pie Company, they are professionals at the job, and it's incredibly delicious. Babe, it's 7:00.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of done, you guys. If you are enjoying this and you want to help us continue to do this, one of the best things you can do is help us do content. If you have anything to celebrate, you have questions you would like to ask us, you have any information you want to share about anything related to SIGLERinPLACE or Stories Mac, you can email us at info@emptyset. We want content ideas. We want concerns you have. We want questions you have. We want ideas for SIGLERinPLACE, for new t-shirts, for whatever. Just chat with us. It's the only, this is the only time we get to see you guys too. And even though we can't actually see you, it's great to hang out with you.
We will be back on Tuesday, September 29th with more GSMOAT, and it's National Coffee Day. I go through about 2 pots of coffee a day. So let's see how hyper I can get on coffee before we do the show. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Also, I need to mention that the following day, Wednesday, is International Podcasting Day. So I'm not sure how we can celebrate that the next day, but we'll figure out what we can do. But until then, you guys, first, happy birthday, Jude. I love you very much. Please, everybody, stay safe.
We want you to stay smart.
We need you to stay science.
And for the love of science, stay informed. I got bad news for you guys. Things are going to get worse before they get better.
But we'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday.
Every Tuesday and Thursday for you. Keep listening to people who actually went to medical school, and we'll all, well, not all of us will make it, but a lot of us will make it, and that'll be a great thing. Okay, you getting ready to blow a kiss?
I am.
All right.
Mwah.